Coach Mainieri here with us on OTB, powered every day by All Star Toyota. Beautiful day outside today, Coach.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It's a beautiful day for baseball.
Oh, beautiful day. It's always a beautiful day as long as we can play.
Yes, sir.
But especially today, it's going to be a gorgeous day, and guys are fired up. It's our last weekend before SEC play, and we got some work to do. You know, we've had some good things happening, pitching especially. I think our defense has been real solid, but we're still not clicking on all cylinders offensively. So this will be a good weekend to really get it going.
You did some different things with your team. Got them on the practice field on Monday this week. How have you seen them respond? What's the demeanor like going into the weekend?
Yeah, I think they're really excited. You know, we this was a hard week of practice, and we had a game on Tuesday with Southeastern. Wednesday's game got rained out, so took that as an off day. Then had another good practice yesterday. So, you know, I just think our guys need to work on their approach a little bit at the plate. You know, we've got some young kids, and they, you know, as soon as the lights go on, they kind of forget what they learned in practice a little bit and go back to their instinctive way of doing things. And a lot of that is good, except, you know, when you get to the collegiate level, the pitchers are so much better, and they can throw that slider on the outside corner, and you got to be ready for that, especially with two strikes. So we did a lot of work on just hitting the ball to the opposite field and understanding situations a little bit better. And I think that it's going to help, and hopefully they're going to go out there and be really aggressive tonight.
Coach, you talked to a lot of people around baseball that talk about approach, and, you know, I don't know what I'm looking at, and a lot of people that are in the box don't know what a good approach at the plate looks like. What are you looking for as far as an approach with your players? Is it different for everybody, or is there one overriding approach for the team?
Well, it's different for each guy because, you know, some guys are power hitters and some guys should be bad handlers and just really never strike out. But it all begins with the basic concept that you swing at strikes and you take balls. I mean, it sounds so elementary, but, you know, when you're in there against a guy that's throwing 93 with a nasty slider and a good changeup, if you just can accomplish that to start with, you know, don't swing at his pitches, get your pitch early in the count. But then when you get to a two-strike count, you have to change your approach. And, you know, we just believe that when you get to two strikes, you got to look for a pitch away because most pitchers are going to go outside on you with two strikes. And, you know, what we're doing is too much, you know, staying with the same, you know, trying to pull the ball and that type of thing. And then, you know, they swing at bad balls with two strikes or they're not ready for the breaking ball. So, it's a work in progress. You know, hitting a baseball is such a difficult task.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know, a lot of people think it probably is the hardest skill in any sport. You know, when you succeed at a 30% rate and you're considered the best there is, it tells you just how difficult it is. You know, if Joe Burrow completed 30% of his passes or our field goal kicker made 30% of his field goals, people would be pretty upset. But if you succeed as a hitter 30% of the time, you're the best. So it's a game of failure, and you got to learn from your failures. You can't let them drag you down. You got to stay positive, and, you know, these are things that young players have to learn.
You have so much experience in coaching the game. Is it tough not to overcoach in moments like this and let your guys kind of figure it out while giving them advice of getting out of a struggle?
This is when a coach earns his money, you know, because this is what you got to know each player, and you got to know what makes them tick. And, you know, I learned a long time ago, one of the greats in the history of baseball, I got a guy by the name of Branch Rickey. I don't know if you've ever heard the name, the one that gave Jackie Robinson his chance. He's got a little blue book on baseball. I wrote way back in the 1940s, but he made a coaching point in there for his minor league coaches that whenever you have a choice between overcoaching a player or undercoaching a player, always choose to undercoach them, because when the pressure is the greatest, players instinctively go back to what is natural to them. So you have to always remember that they're not robots. You can't make them do everything that you want them to do, and they're not going to be perfect. But there are things that they have to be coached at in order to try to get better at it. And so it's a fine line. It's a balance that you have to maintain there, and that's what good coaches are able to do, is find the right time to coach them. I just felt that this week was an urgent week for them to get better, you know, and so we probably overcoached them a little bit this week, but I just felt it was a necessary time to do it.
LSU head baseball coach Paul Mainieri joining us here, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, UMass Lowell in town, game one tonight. 7 o'clock, Cole Henry on the mound. If there's one group, Coach, that has been just tremendous from the start of the season, has been your pitching staff. Another weekend last week in Houston against big lineups in which they perform. What did you take away from that group and the expectation going into another weekend?
Jordy, if we get starting pitching performances over the next 11 weekends like we've gotten over the first 3, we're going to be in pretty good shape.
Yes, sir.
People that were at media day will remember that I made a comment that, we're gonna have some learning. There's going to be a learning curve for our position players, but what makes me confident is that we have a pitching staff that I think can still pitch well and give us a chance to win, even as we're trying to learn more about our lineup and learn how to play. If we don't score a lot of runs, these guys can hold the other team to low run games. And at some point, we're going to have to support the pitching staff. But right now, we have a team earned run average of about 2.5, I think, which is outstanding. Of course, we haven't gotten into the SEC schedule yet, and that could change a little bit because obviously you're facing better competition, the best competition in the country. But this past weekend, we faced really good competition, and they met the challenge. And look at what A.J. Levis did, 7 no-hit innings. Landon Marceau was pitching great for 6 innings, really 5 innings until his leg cramped up. And then he gave up a 2-run homer, and we had to take him out of the game. Cole Henry had one really tough inning where he had to fight through, but still gave his team 6 innings. And then what Jaden Hill did was phenomenal. And Devin Fontenot has been pretty much money as well. Matthew Beck's been pitching really well. So, we've been pitching well, but we're still only about 6 deep with a great deal of confidence. So we need to get some other guys pitching well if we're going to get through long weekends in the SEC.
Is Hill in his best spot where he serves you best? I mean, are you getting the most out of him in the position he is now? I mean, he's dominating, but could you get more out of him in another position?
I don't think we should right now, Jordy. The kid missed the whole season last year due to injury. And if we get greedy and try to extend him more than what he's doing right now, and then all of a sudden he's hurt again, it's still early. We've only played 3 weekends, so let's let him keep pitching and keep gaining confidence. I mean, he's not a robot. This is really his first extensive, season lengthwise. By this time last year, he was already on the shelf and out here. So we got to make sure that we keep him healthy. And by the way, who would he replace?
Yeah,
who would you take out of the rotation to put Jaden Hill in there?
Yeah.
And he's quite a weapon when you use him late in the game like that. If you got a 1-run lead.
You and I had a conversation in your offense the Friday of the Indiana game about the options that you had, talking about offense and defense in some of the ways that you could kind of be creative with your lineup. Have you become more comfortable in that in going into this weekend?
Jordy, you recruit kids and you believe that they have talent to do things, and then you're doing it based upon them having competition against high school caliber players. Most high school pitchers in the state of Louisiana don't throw 90 miles an hour. And so you make your best guesses, you recruit the best athletes that you can, and then you don't really know what you get until you line up with them. And they go out there and face a pitcher from Texas that's throwing 93 with a nice slider. That's what we're going to be facing in the SEC every day. So, things kind of just happen as we go through it, and some guys you learn that you can really count on them, and other guys maybe aren't quite ready for this, on a regular basis. And you think you're overloaded with talent, and then next thing you know, you're happy if you've got 9 guys that you can line up every day with and feel confident in the quality of their bats and the defense that they play and so forth. So, the options, I think, are more limited than I thought they might have been going into the season. But at the same time, I feel good about the guys that we've decided on. And we do have Zach Arnold back this weekend. So that's I'm not sure how I'm going to use him yet, because I do like the way Collier Cranford's been coming along. I do think that Kay Doty had a good game earlier this week where he really swung the bat well. So right now the big question for us, I think, is left field. Maurice Hampton has a sore back, and he won't probably be available this weekend. We're putting Drew Bianco back in left field to give him another chance. If we don't get the job done there, it could be, we might look at something a little more creative and utilize one of those guys in left field.
Coach, last one, and I get you out of here, and I appreciate you joining us here on Game Day. Coach Paul Mainieri, ESPN, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. You mentioned Maurice Hampton Jr. and maybe being out this weekend. It surprised a lot of people to hear Orgeron say that he's not participating in any spring practice, but you guys were pretty upfront with that in his recruiting. Can you take us to a couple of the behind-the-scenes conversations on his recruiting about how this part of the calendar was going to work for Maurice?
Well, you remember this young man turned down a $1.8 million signing bonus in baseball to come to college to play football.
Right.
And when you can't lie to people. You shouldn't lie to them anyway. But especially when a young man turns down something like that. And Coach O is a man of his word. And we all sat in his office, and he told Maurice, "Hey, football in the fall and baseball in the spring. I know how important baseball is for you, and I'm going to totally support that." And he hasn't wavered. He's been great. Now, Maurice yesterday, couldn't practice, so he went over to football and sat in on some meetings and that type of thing, which is what I encourage him to do. Rather than sit at practice, or if you're not starting in a baseball game on a given day, then you might as well go over and sit in the meetings or watch football practice. So at least you're learning all the stuff that you need to learn.
Coach, thanks for the time this morning. Best of luck this weekend. We'll see you at the box.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jordy.
There he is, Coach Paul Mainieri checking in from LSU baseball. Tigers will host this weekend a 3-game set versus UMass Lowell. First pitch tonight, 7 o'clock, 6:30 pregame on Eagle 98.1.